as you well know, this has been a long, tough last couple years, building the Freedom Coalition along with Carl and the voice of this radio station. As I go door to door throughout the community, people thank us for sacrificing all this time to bring honest, open government back to St. Clair County. I couldn't be prouder. I couldn't be prouder of all of our candidates and everybody working hard to bring this government back to we the people. It is our government. We expected exactly what's happened. When you have one-party rule with unchecked power, you make decisions based on what's best for the party, not the people. That's got to change. That's why I think each and every one of us here has worked so hard to end that. We will make every decision based on what's best for the people of St. Clair County. We have no strings attached. I assure you, Bob, nobody's going to tell Bob Romanek what to do. And anybody that knows Rodger Cook, when I took over and followed a Sprague-led administration in Belleville as mayor, I made great things happen simply because every decision I made was based on what was best for the people I served. You don't reduce taxes 4 years in a row. You don't reduce crime 4 years in a row. You don't lead the region in economic development and job creation my second, third, and fourth year. You don't open government up to the people by having the first printed agenda so people in Belleville knew what the council was going to be voting on Monday night. I put the council meetings on Continental Cable. We allowed public participation. We made government by the people, of the people, and for the people. And that's what I can do here in St. Clair County. We've got a lot of problems from Mid-America airports to the stress in the courthouse of people worrying about their jobs because if they say one thing wrong, they're fired. We're going to end all that. We're going to bring government back to we the people. And let me ask you this, Bob. Is there anybody out there that can come up to you at any time and say, hey, Bob, you need to stop this. You need to stop that. You can't say this. You can't say that. I know I would never do that because of your position on the right to free speech. And you always talk about the veterans over in Jefferson Barracks that died and gave their all for your right to do that. And I assure you, when they put these hit pieces out on us, it doesn't bother me because I know who I am. As a cop, a detective, a homicide investigator, I was recognized by 3 different organizations as Police Officer of the Year. I got awards for solving homicides in other communities throughout the Metro East, and I'm very proud of who I am. There's nothing they can say. These are all lies, untruths, because they have no positive record to run on. And I put that in my flyer, my literature that I started putting out 6 months ago, and it's right on there because I knew they were going to do it. You knew the same thing. We're bigger men. You can't change history. You can't change who I am. I'm a young man who grew up without a dad at 5 years old, had a strong mother who said, don't feel sorry for yourself, make your own way. And I listened to her, and she was always there for me. She sacrificed for us children, and that's what made me the man I am. And I think, Bob, in a lot of ways, you're that kind of man too. To say something about free speech. You know, you say what you want. I'm not somebody who attacks people personally.
Rodger, let me interrupt you here. People, Rodger Cook has walked in when I've said some stuff that I know he didn't like, and I saw his head curl a little bit, and I saw his eyes get a little quenchy. But Rodger Cook, being a true, proud American, has never said, Bob Romanek, don't say that, don't do that. That's what a man does. A man will let another man do what he wants. He doesn't have to agree with it, and I'm sure, Rodger, you don't agree with a lot of things I say, but I think you agree with most of the things that I do. But I want to salute you because you're that kind of man. And we've talked. And you know what Rodger Cook told me, people? He said, Bob, if I'm elected, I'm going through that courthouse, and I'm going to get advice from everybody. I'm not going to be too good not to take advice from everybody. Unlike Kern, who's going to be on the 5th floor, who's got it all secured. He's more secured than the judges. They've got locks and chains and everything on the 5th floor. Rodger Cook said he'll be out in the St. Clair County courthouse community day in and day out. He says he's going to sit down and talk not to the elected officials, but the workers in St. Clair County. And Rodger, I think that's what we need all throughout this county. That's what you've done through this election cycle. That's what I've done. That's what Carl Officer's done. And that's what the people deserve. They need common people. They need people to represent them. And the only people that can represent them are people that feel like them, that have lived like them, that know them. And these ass-white bastards sit in these ivory towers in Belleville, the Kerns, the Spriggs, all of them. They don't know the real people, but you do, and I want to salute you because you've never once in this whole time, and I know you've cringed, never once say, Bob, you shouldn't have said that because you're like me. You love our proud military that died to give me the right to speak free, and you don't want to stop that. I don't want to stop that, but these bastards in Belleville do.
Bob, I'm going to tell you this. I know what a good leader does. He leads by example, by his work ethic, his honesty, his transparency. And I also know, as a mayor of Belleville, who does the work. It's the rank and file people. And you know what? I had a great relationship with everybody. They did their job. All I ask is work hard, do your job, serve the people, and we're all a team. And we've got to build a team up there of people that can work in an environment that are respected. I will bring in department heads that are qualified, that respect their employees, and encourage them and help them in any way to do the job what's best for we the people. So that's number one. Number two, you know, I've been to Washington, D.C. already talking about NGA, Metro East Levy District, and especially Mid-America Airport. I'm going to be ready on day one to address that Mid-America Airport. I'm going to try to push it, the oversight over to the elected county board members who represent the people and are elected, not appointed board by me. So people in the airport over at Mid-America Airport do what I want. I'm not an aviation expert, but I will surround myself with aviation experts, people with backgrounds, and we will address that. And I've got a plan for that. I pitched it up there a month ago. And as soon as I'm elected on November 8th, one of the first calls I'll make is to a person up there to set up some meetings, and we'll make a difference right there. You want to say something? Go ahead.
Yeah, when we talked before, you know, you and Carl sit down with the Freedom Coalition. You guys formed the Freedom Coalition, which represents everybody. It's a patriotic movement, not a political party. But I like what you and Carl have put together, and Carl said he'd assist in any way, that you're going to have monthly town hall meetings, that you're going to go all throughout St. Clair County. You're not going to make people come and try to get an appointment when they're not working, that you're going to have monthly town hall meetings to bring people together, to let people tell you what they want done, your bosses. And I'll tell you, how refreshing is that after these no-good son of a bitches won't come on the radio, they won't be transparent, they won't answer your calls, and they never go throughout the community. But Rodger, see, you're that kind of guy. You're a people person. And for you to say that you're going to have town hall meetings each month in different areas to get the feel and the play from the people and see what they want instead of what the politicians want, I think that's very, very refreshing.
Well, as you know, on day one, we're going to be so busy, Bob. I followed a Sprague-led administration. There's a lot of things we're going to have to clean up and clean up quick. We're going to get rid of government waste. We're going to make government transparent. We're going to have to be bringing in qualified individuals for these positions, and it'll be very busy. So it may be on weekends we have to do that to start.
Well, sure.
But
sure.
There's nothing more transparent than once you're elected, being out in the community. I'm not going to be sitting up there in the ivory tower. I'm going to be out marketing, selling St. Clair County. Let me touch this point. As you know, as a former cop, you know, we have nothing unless we have safety and security. You know, if you've got crime running rampant throughout St. Clair County in certain areas and it's not addressed, you're not going to create good schools. You're not going to have businesses move in, and you're definitely your property value is going to go down. And that is going to be a focus of mine. It was when I ran as a police officer. We had 3 cars on the street from 11 o'clock at night to 7 in the morning. When I took office, we put 13 to 15 cars on the street. We reduced crime, and we made this place safe. That's why, a large part, I was able to be successful in economic development.
Carl Officer, co-chairman of the St. Clair County Freedom Coalition, and you're the people's candidate for St. Clair County Coroner. Carl, how the hell you doing today, buddy?
Well, good morning, Bob.
Good morning.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing a little bit better today.
Well, I'm fantastic. I'm very proud of talking to our team members from Cahokia, Gary Carnwell, Ed Cockrell from out New Athens, Dallas Cook here in Belleville, Laninia Kaysen here in Belleville, and of course, Rodger and I have been working diligently all throughout the county. We got a great meeting we're going to tonight down in Freeburg, and I'm looking forward to being down in Freeburg at 6 o'clock this evening. And I heard Rodger talking about the airport. That's one issue, but there's a broader issue. Yesterday morning, I listened to your radio broadcast, and you had the gentleman who's running for Madison County Board. And I think he made a significant conversation when he said that he led the fight, he and some other people, to reduce the property taxes in Madison County. And he said for a $100,000 home, it may only be a nickel per $100. Said maybe $16, $17 a year on a $100,000 home. I know full well that the St. Clair County Freedom Coalition has been looking at this for St. Clair County for at least the last 6 months. And the reality is this: if we don't have to spend $15 million of your hard-earned tax dollars at the airport, if we could spend some of that money and give it back to the taxpayers of St. Clair County, and the hardcore reality is that right now we don't know if it's more than $15 million, because we won't know that until we get a real auditor in St. Clair County to look at the books. We don't know how much money we're being mishandled in St. Clair County. And until we get a state representative, somebody in Springfield, who can look at the hard issues about what it takes to get the state assistance. How much money is the state of Illinois pouring into Mid-America Airport? How much money is, or
well, no, not state of Illinois. That's our tax dollars, Mayor.
Yeah, I understand. That's what I'm saying. So I think that we need to have every member of the St. Clair County Freedom Coalition, that's where I'm going with this. Taxpayers, voters, you need to elect the Freedom Coalition candidates next Tuesday. These are men and women who are not looking for a job, but looking to serve. We can't serve you if you don't elect us. We're doing pretty doggone good on our own, but we can do great things for you and for each other as members of this greater community called St. Clair County. It is amazing to me how people have come together from small rural communities like Summerfield and poor urban communities like Brooklyn, Illinois. They've come together. They've always had this division that you can't talk to people in the outer county, and people in the outer county can't talk to people in the inner city. Why not? The only reason we've been separated is because we've had racist political leaders, black and white, who have found it to be their own gain. They kept us apart because it kept them rich. They kept us apart because it kept them in power. They kept us apart because it kept them keeping their foot on our necks and our backs. Right now, that is completely out of the window after we formed this Freedom Coalition. I'm seeing men and women who are right now so very, very proud to be able to walk hand in hand. We don't always agree on everything, but we agree to be civil with one another and to be honest to each other. That's a lot more than you got out of government in the last 25, 30 years here in St. Clair County. And I think that Rodger's leadership as the county board chairman, I think Ed Cockrell looking and reviewing fair taxes for the people of St. Clair County, the only qualified person to be on the board of review. And I look at Bob, you've heard me say this 100 times about you. You're never going to lie to me. You never have. I don't know what I need in a representative if he's going to lie to me about this vote or that vote. At the end of the day, you've got to go to Springfield to represent the people of the 114th district. You can't run the state of Illinois. You just have to represent the people that elected you. And it seems to me, I've never known anybody running for public office in this area that says they're going to go to Springfield, not take the per diem, the gas money every day, not going to take the salary, not going to take the insurance, and not going to take the pension. My God, is that an unrevolutionary thing to say? And we're going to turn our back on someone like that to represent us. And I know full well that if you're complaining about the governor and the Speaker of the House, that means you have got the people and the people only at heart and in mind. You're not going to let anybody run over the 114th legislative district. That is a reality. And it doesn't make any difference about being Democrat or Republican. It's about being right for the people that you represent. Finally, I must simply say, you've been asking me to talk about the coroner's office. There's only really 3 issues in the coroner's office as far as I'm concerned. One, I want to make it a medical examiner. I don't think that I need a political job. In 4 years, we ought to be able to get rid of the St. Clair County Coroner's Office and have a professional medical examiner's office. Now, I've got to be the only politician ever advocating to get rid of my office before I even want it. But I think that that's a logical, honest thing to do. Second, I think that when it comes down to being the coroner for St. Clair County, there's nobody even in the ball game with me in terms of credentials. And then thirdly and finally, I understand the compassion and the pain and the suffering of death every day. Death is my business. That's what I deal with day in and day out, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And really, that's what the coroner's on duty all the time. But it's more than just dealing with the death. There's the pain of not having a death certificate, not having it properly filed, and getting those things. I know that backwards and forward. I don't have to hit the ground and get some training or go and get permission from the county board chairman or the chairman of the Democratic Party. I will represent you as an honest, dedicated professional with dignity and compassion. Vote for the St. Clair County Freedom Coalition candidates. We are far and above, heads and shoulders, our opponents.